About this al-Qaeda offshoot that now reportedly controls nearly a third of Iraq. The commander of this al-Qaeda spinoff now controls the world's wealthiest terrorist group. They just stole $400 million from an Iraqi bank, which they went in and seized. Some are even calling him the new bin Laden. Today, Republican lawmakers warned that man could soon order a terror attack on our soil if the U.S. doesn't make some serious policy changes and fast.
The ISIS have as part of their agenda to attack our homeland. The next 9/11 is in the making.
Brooke Goldstein is a human rights attorney and director of the Lawfare Project. Do you believe that it's that bad, the next 9/11 is in the making?
You know, I have to say the comparison between al-Baghdadi and...
That's this bad guy heading
right,
up.
of ISIS, the head, and Osama bin Laden is quite an apt one for every reason that Mark said, is that basically ISIS has now been resurrected from the dead because of the void that we left in 2011 in Iraq, and because Syria is now a training ground and a recruitment ground. And if we learned anything from 9/11, we know that all you need is an American passport, access to within our borders to be able to carry out an attack. And we are seeing now, American citizens, European citizens, Canadian citizens are now being recruited to train along ISIS, along other al-Qaeda affiliated groups in Syria. We had the first American suicide bomber in Syria. The attack on the Jewish Museum in Brussels was carried out by a jihadi who was trained in Syria. So they are now coming home, and God forbid we should have another 9/11. But if we don't take ISIS seriously for the threat that it is, a theologically motivated threat that wants to wage war against the West, that is threatening now Jordan. They're threatening to invade Jordan and kill the king there, the Hashemite king.
And you can only imagine what their plans are for Israel.
They've stated what their plans are. We don't have to imagine. They've threatened to invade Gaza and Lebanon. Jordan is now calling for immediate American military assistance to secure its borders. But if we weren't willing to provide assistance to Iraq, where we've thrown $15 billion to train the Iraqi security forces that we've been misled to believe are capable of defending themselves, why would we be willing to help Jordan?
You know, but you look at this group headed by this very mysterious guy. He's not like some of the other al-Qaeda leaders. He doesn't like to be seen on camera. He maintains a disguise. His whereabouts are unknown. He's not a flashy guy. He's about 42 years old, we're told. But you look at their tactics, Brooke, and they're so brutal. I don't want to get into the details, but it's as brutal as you could possibly imagine. You have to feel for the Iraqi police force, which is, I mean, they are not prepared morally for the type of beheadings and being shot down in the street, walking along, that this group is unleashing on them. They've already imposed Sharia law in the cities that they're controlling in Iraq.
And it's a hard pill to swallow that the Iraqi troops basically abandoned their post in Mosul and in Tikrit. And what we're seeing now is that ISIS and al-Baghdadi is even stronger. They've gone from, in 2006, they were just an ember that we left burning, that we failed to extinguish, to now one of the greatest non-governmental, non-state actors, terrorist actors, the greatest military threat to the West. And as you mentioned, they now have an airport. They're holding the Turkish embassy hostage, so they're bringing in a NATO ally to this fight, and Turkey says it's going to do something. Again, they're threatening Jordan, and
they're taking a hard look at Baghdad as well, and we are considering evacuating our embassy in Baghdad. I mean, if they control Iraq and parts of Syria soon, and they actually have this Islamic State from which to launch and plan jihad, Brooke, what should we do about it? The president today said there's not going to be any boots on the ground. The American people don't want that. He said he wants to work with international partners, but he's not ruling anything out yet.
I think that it's quite obvious what happens when there's a void with the American military. And we have to take this as a case example. When we withdrew our troops without leaving any type of military presence whatsoever in Iraq, we have ISIS. So I don't think it would be a good idea to have this policy of complete non-engagement any longer.
We will continue to follow this one. Brooke, thank you.
Thanks.